Ja Morant's 25-game suspension is coming to a close. The Memphis Grizzlies are currently 6-18, and if I'm being honest, their next game without Ja is against the Thunder. They're probably losing that. So Ja Morant's foolishness off the court has put them in a massive hole that I'm not too sure they can climb out of this season. If you take a look at the West, it is more stacked than ever. Even if Ja Morant was there for them for the entire season, I do think it would have still been difficult for the Grizzlies to clinch a playoff spot and not have to play in the play-in this season. But without Ja, they only managed to win 6 games out of the 25. And honestly, it's thrown their whole groove off. They are not the Grizzlies from last season, that's for sure. But there are multiple reasons for that. First off, they got rid of Dillon Brooks, and they didn't realize how valuable of a piece he was until he was gone. They decided to part ways with him because of how he acted in the playoffs, when in actuality, all Brooks was trying to do was bring some tenacity to a team that was clearly outmatched in the playoffs versus the Lakers. He did his best, he did his part, and yet the Grizzlies kind of saw that as a negative, and that's why they decided to go their separate ways in the offseason. And now look at Brooks. He's got the Rockets as the 6th seed. Sure, he may not be doing all of the work, but you know, he's putting the Rockets on the map, and they're playing really well with him. Hell, they just played the Grizzlies head to head, and they beat them back to back because of Dillon Brooks. And even though Brooks has been important and Ja Morant is a big piece of this team, you still might be wondering how a Grizzlies squad who was able to have back-to-back 50-win seasons has fallen off so hard. And that's because Brooks and Ja Morant aren't the only players they're missing. This team has been heavily affected by the injury bug this season. Brandon Clark, he was done for the year on October 22nd. Yes, this man got injured. Achilles, it was nasty. He probably won't come back in time. And then a few weeks later, on November 7th, Steven Adams goes down with a knee injury that he needed surgery on, and there is no timetable for this man to return. So you lose 2 valuable pieces with injuries alone very early on. That's gonna hurt this team. And it only kept getting worse for the Grizzlies. Yeah, you thought that was it? Nope, not even close. December really hit this team hard. Marcus Smart has been in and out of the lineup. Hell, currently he's not even playing with the team. And then you've got a sharpshooter in Luke Kennard. And Luke Kennard is very valuable because this team is nearly last place in offensive rating this season, so they need shooters. They need guys like Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard's been out with a bone bruise. He's set to come back eventually. Maybe we're looking at January. And Derrick Rose, as of December 15th, has been, he's dealing with some left hamstring soreness. And I know that's not a big deal, that he's probably going to be back in, a day or two. But when guys are missing games here and there, it's going to have a big impact, especially when this team is trying to make a comeback. They're going to be 6-19. Yeah, they're going to need just about all hands on deck for them to even scratch the playoffs. And if you're a Grizzlies fan who hasn't kept up with the season so far, wouldn't blame you. You might think I'm exaggerating. Absolutely not. If you look at the 4 teams in the play-in currently, they are really good. All of them have over 500 records. The worst one record-wise would have to be the Phoenix Suns, who just got their trio back together. They haven't played all season. Now all 3 of them are healthy. They'll probably win a few more games. Then you've got the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum. They just made a deep run in the in-season tournament. They've been affected by the injury bug themselves through the past few seasons, but they're healthy now. And then the last 2 teams in the play-in are both LA squads. The Clippers are finally gelling after their rough start post James Harden trade. They're now on a 6-game winning streak, currently 14-10. Hell, I have not even gotten to the actual playoff teams. You've got the Minnesota Timberwolves, just made a video on them because they're that good. The Denver Nuggets, oh yeah, Jamal Murray is back after missing a few weeks in November. They're going to be even better. Dallas Mavericks, oh, Kyrie, Luka, can't beat that. Honestly, a healthy Grizzlies team, don't know if it beats it. Sacramento Kings, What, De'Aaron Fox, Light the Beam, they're cool. The Houston Rockets, Dylan Brooks, that young core, honestly, have no idea how they're the 6th seed. They'll probably fall off a little bit. And then what? The Oklahoma City Thunder, blossoming young core. They've got a bunch of picks, and they've got a bunch of superstars. Sam Presti, absolutely cooked. And you know what? The Golden State Warriors are probably a better team than the Grizzlies right now. The Grizzlies should not be looking at trying to get into the playoffs this season. It's definitely one of those tanking years for them, especially with how many injuries they got. Even if Ja Morant plays like Superman for this team, I don't think it'll be enough. If anything, Ja Morant should be trying to prioritize fixing up his image, because if he's still got that image of being a wannabe thug, it's not only going to make him look bad, but it's going to give this negative effect to the rest of the organization. So his focus this season should be trying to clean up that brutal image he's got currently, and you know what? Playing super good. Because he's missed 25 games, he's not going to be in the running for any awards, because, you know, the new rule, you got to play 65 games to even be mentioned in the awards. That's not going to be Ja Morant. But if Ja Morant can turn this season around, the narrative completely shifts on him. Not only him, but the Grizzlies. Hell, if the Grizzlies even manage to pull off, I don't know, a positive season, I'm talking more than 41 wins, then I think that's what the Grizzlies should be shooting for, because it's actually plausible. Realistically though, Grizzlies Nation should truly be turning their attention to the 2024 NBA Draft, because I promise you, this team is getting a top 5 pick unless the lottery gods screw them out of it. That's probably what's going to happen here. But when you take a look at their roster, they don't have any holes. I know I said they're terrible, but when fully healthy and when not being suspended, they've got a stacked lineup. Desmond Bane, Brandon Clark, Ja Morant, Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson. Beautiful starting 5 right there. And so, you know, when you're looking at the draft, you're just going for a guy who's going to be a backup, a solid role player for you, okay? They're not going to add anybody through free agency because most of their core is signed to long-term deals already. So it's not that like they got money to spend. Of course, they could trade some of their older pieces, maybe this year, maybe next year, depending on the direction this organization wants to head into. So when you're looking at the draft, you might be looking at, you know, some forwards. Alex Sarr, Ron Holland's exciting, Mataz Buzelis. This is a draft for forwards. There's not too many great guards in this one, or too many big men like centers. So this is a small forward heavy draft, a forward heavy draft. So that's probably what they should be looking at. Anyway, that's about it for this video. I really just wanted to mention the Grizzlies because I wanted to talk about the predicament that Ja Morant put this team in once he got suspended. And because the suspension is coming to a close, it's a very topical piece of conversation right now. And I know the analysis wasn't too in-depth, but honestly, that's because their problems are very surface level, very obvious, so you don't really need to do an in-depth analysis on this team. It's clear what the issues are. They're injured right now. Honestly, fully healthy and no Ja Morant suspension, this team is a 50-win team, and I think they can turn into that again. I believe in them. Anyway, that's about it for this video. Catch y'all later. Let me know down below what kind of videos you want to see next. You know, what teams, what sport. I do hella sports, okay? Catch y'all later. Much love. Deuces.